My fuckers and fake internet friends. We return. It's been a bit of a break, and I know that we're going through this series slowly, but that's because the work is slow and it would be deceptive to discuss it quickly. So here is all of my encouragement to follow along with the behavioral change prompts at this time. Because if I was you, I would not be doing that. I would be listening along and saying, out of your mind, it is not the time, Aztec. But it is the time. It is the most important time to defiantly insist on feeling soft and safe within ourselves. This time, we're here because we must behave alignedly so that the energy we've been trying to relocate and expand catalyzes its own generation and hits its target. We need to engage in love behaviors. No, hang on. Not love languages, but the granular actions that constitute your emotional impression of love. Yes, it sounds pleasant, and often it is, which we need and prefer right now, right? But beware. This potentially will also get dark in line with the nature of this entire self-love and compassion series. Sounds easy, turns into a horror show of your own crippling cognitions more readily than most of us would like. So, if you are in a not today mood, you might want to wait until our next series release if you have any concerns about things going morose. Now, let's get started. Picking up where we left off, remembering love viscerally when you're in the right place, softened and warmed, expanded, rather than contracted, cold, or defensive. Get comfortable, prepare your body, and then settle on the most pure feeling love relationship, preferably with a human, that you can recall. The one that has the least toxic additions to it. It probably wasn't perfect, probably didn't last, probably got fucked up at some point. But remember it in your flesh. And then ask, what helped you feel it on giving and receiving ends? Precisely. What are the memories of the experiences that elicit the purest feel? We're aiming to get specific, to take all the soul and fate and attraction out of it and ask, in loving relationships, what are the behavioral patterns? What expresses the emotion and care through action? What makes you feel true safety, appreciation, connection? How did they demonstrate it exactly? What made it register in your body? When have you convincingly felt love? Spend, a good amount of time with these thoughts. I have to say, preferably give it a few days that you return to this question and try doing it during an activity like walking, stretching, gardening. And also ask, in loving relationships, what behaviors do you use to demonstrate or communicate love? When your chest is swole, what are you inspired to do? How do you translate your emotion into action for others? What movements of energy are imbued with a sense of warmth from inside your damn meat? What behaviors are connected to a sense of having love in your life? List out the ways that you accept love from others and the ways that you give love to others specifically. Here's what that means. It needs to be detailed enough that it's reproducible. right? Sitting together versus sitting in a peaceful landscape like a park, engaging in small physical affections while people watching and discussing our plans for the future versus the impending alien takeover. Just kidding. Other thoughts about UAPs. But the point is, go far beyond love language and list specific actions that come to mind, because we want to get under this surface level nonsense and understand what matters. Words of affirmation about what? What aspects of your life hit an emotional high point when they are supported verbally? Acts of service that accomplish what? They take pressure off of you in what ways? And how is that connected to other experiences of love? Gifts of what? What presents make an impact? P.S. Here's a small joke graphic. Anyways, bring up the memories that made a real love impact. Recall and detail those behaviors, those granular, reproducible behaviors. Give it time, the pieces will come together. Let your subconscious unravel the puzzle as you connect with it intermittently. And you'll start to dip below your own bullshit stories to understand what truly was important. Why? And then when you have that list, you ask, do you do any of this for your fucking self? Any of it at all? Or have you stranded yourself on a loveless island, bereft of the signals of self-love, unsupported by you, literally in a dried up relationship that would cause you to break up with you if you could? Many drinks would be had with your loudest friend about what a jackass you were to you if you weren't one and the same. Yeah? I mean, I'll skip the accusations. I know many people are better at self-relationship than I, and I will say, yes, this is all me. I am my worst boyfriend, mother, and friend. Right? That's why our next step is treating yourself to your own love activities and actually doing it. I presume some eyes just glazed, but hear me. This isn't easy, and there is a great deal of self-work to be done. On a biological behavioral basis, we would not stop ourselves from feeling something pleasant on the reg if we didn't have conflicting thoughts opposing the action, telling us it will become punishing. So before you can even begin and throughout every practice session, be mindful of the questions. What stops you from enacting these behaviors usually? What halts you from carrying them out for yourself or for others? Or what factor, when missing, stunts all of your love behaviors? This can get a little complicated to understand your own holdup. For instance, I notice that a lack of love coming in is what stops me from engaging in loving behaviors to myself. Love is what signifies this is safe for me to do. I'm allowed. I'm good enough for care because someone else thinks that I am. So, therefore, when I'm in a social desert, as I have been, I also desert myself. I won't be empowered to do the things that would encourage me to feel love from me because no one has been telling me that I'm worthy to do so. You can see that this becomes extremely self-limiting, and without inner work being done, it creates an illusionary obstacle which could only be broken by finding someone to provide something like love from a place of utter lack in order to enable any sense of self love from myself, which is therefore likely to spawn an abusive relationship. Thus, don't shy away from the hang-ups in your head as you try to behave kindly to you. Note them. We'll deal with them later. And stop here if you need to. But if you can get past your own mental hang-ups, go beyond love language and ask, what are your love behaviors? And how can you give them to yourself, free from requiring someone else to be present or involved or permission granting? If you take the time to sift through discomfort and produce detailed observations, then you just need to follow your own, perhaps written, if you journal, instructions to execute a whole series of self-love behaviors rather than trying to improv as you go. Don't wake up and say, what do I want to do to demonstrate self-love today? And then spin out for 10 hours in anxiety. Instead, say, let me refer to my list of relevant detailed behaviors and choose one, and then just get started. To get to that point where it is that simple, it can hurt, and it might be difficult to do on your own. But if it would help, I have some prompts. If you can, safely, let's examine some common early love experience relationships and behaviors. Your mom or other caregiver fed you tasty treats? Do you do this for yourself? Tucked you into bed for lots of rest? Do you do this for yourself? Babied you when you were sick? Do you do this for yourself? You for your mom? I don't know, provided acceptance and emotional support through her challenges, stood up for her in the face of scrutiny, paid her in loyalty, filled in any gaps that you could to support her in the ways that were available to you. Do you do any of these things for yourself? Your ex took you to nice places, bought you some small gifts just because, gave you permission to relax and do nothing? Do you do this for yourself? You for your ex, I don't know, cooked them breakfast every weekend, offered comfort and compassion when they were in a time of anxiety, left them small notes of love and encouragement, paid for things that they enjoyed doing and having. Do you do these things for yourself? Then fuck it. Here we go. You for your dog. You what? Took them to the best parks, spent time in cozy blankets together, gave them immediate comfort if they were distraught. And do you do these things for yourself? Also, do any of these things sound impossible or out of reach now that you've listed them out? Are they totally over the top and unreasonable? Or are they small, normal acts of kindness, relating, living, and care that have historically been given and received, but that you've perhaps deprived yourself of for a while, or expected only from others, or given only to others? If so, feel that weight. Know it's related to people treating you unkindly in the past and your brain applying the same standard unto you henceforth. And let some of that pressure go. Give it, at a minimum, a big breath. At a maximum, as much time as you need to come off of your internal edge. And then start your love practice. Noticing not only what love means to you and how it registers in your body, but also how you show love to others and how that impacts you from the receiving end in your body. Then being kind to yourself and delivering the things to you that you normally require from or devote to others. And please realize that this does not have to be costly or dramatic. I am a dirt human. This is not class prohibitive. To keep it economical or even free, get down to the core of the issue of love. If you've noticed through naming specific love behaviors that your love language is gifts, ask why. You don't need to recreate lavish presents. You need to know what those gifts are demonstrative of. Acts of service. In what way? What areas of life are heavy for you? So, where does lifted pressure make the biggest impact? Words of affirmation. Great. Which ones? About what? What do you truly value and desire recognition or support around? You don't need to recreate the past to feel love now, but if you can search beneath original memories, you can get clear on why you were impacted them. And then you can find ways to make that impact on yourself again, even if you're very limited in time and material. Do not aim for a movie version of dating yourself. Aim for small, simple, tiny changes that open up new behavioral options, chances to practice staying self-associated, especially under stress, and opportunities for unusual emotions to arise because they are personal to you. So, truly, I don't know what that means in your love experience, but for me, it's this simple. Time off to be creative in dim lighting with shit TV on in the background. That's a love behavior that I would accept from my mother in my sick days. Laying in a cozy bed in the morning with clean sheets, wiggling my legs around in them. That's an activity that I would only have with partners, whereas I normally rocket out of bed and appreciate none of it. Having little treats or just exploratory free adventures like thrifting or window shopping around town, that's a love behavior that I would have with friends. And feeding myself well, period. That is an action I would absorb from and give to anyone but me. Alone, I can live on handfuls of sawdust. I give no shits. These have been really new, tiny, doable, self-targeted, and easy to repeat actions that have made a big difference. Giving myself permission and then pushing towards these behavioral goals, regardless of deprivation compulsions, has made them into regular, routine behaviors. And it's especially powerful, you changing even, when this is combined with other self-supporting tools like parasocializing wisely to expand the sense of community and love. And I can only fervently encourage the same for you, especially when things around you are rather unfriendly. Remember that conditions don't need to be kind for you to be kind to yourself, just like you don't need anyone's love as permission to love you. Just the opposite. As things get harder on you, you get softer. And all that we need to make this a brand new, lasting behavioral pattern is to make a decision to behave differently, then to be self-referential as we reorient each morning. First, changing our mental state to the same condition as when we made that decision, and then following through with the related behaviors, and doing this day after day. So, fucker, go beyond your love language into your memory bank. Get granular about what behaviors have the signature of loving relationships for you, from giving and receiving ends. Be specific as possible about what actions impact you, and more importantly, why. And then give them to yourself regularly, every day, if you can, in small and simple, repeatable, variety inviting ways. And remember to revisit all previous steps of this series as needed as you finally treat yourself the way that even complete assholes knew how to treat you at some point, which, looking back, sometimes was better than you continue to treat yourself to this very day. Huh. Wow. Seems like time to change that. With love, actionable behaviors. Part 7.4587 or something of the actual self-love series. A true treat for all of us in these long present days of never spring. Which is really great news, because all the work that we do cannot be this sunny, delightful. Coming up next, let's talk about the shadowy perspective work, part 6, that must go brain in hand with actual self-love behaviors. Because it wouldn't be a complex trauma podcast if there weren't ongoing obstacles and ops between us and just being kind to us the way that apparently everyone else can. We'll walk through resizing our more erroneous perspectives the way no one did for us in the past, so we can finally see, for the first time, without all the fog, what cognitive error stands between us and just being fine with us. Almost the final steps of this extremely easy, in theory, but slow in practice series. What would it actually take to love yourself? Huzzah! Part 6 is next. I'll see you there. And until then, cheers, y'all. Much love. Bye-bye.